Hello students, Jinalisha welcomes you all on behalf of Saraswat International Academy. Today we will begin with the new chapter excretory products and their elimination. So students, in this chapter we will be studying regarding the various kinds of excretory products which are produced by the living organism and how are they eliminated from the body. And in detail we will be studying regarding the human excretory system. So let us begin with the chapter. First of all, the introductory part of the chapter. Animals accumulate ammonia, urea, uric acid, carbon dioxide, water, ions like Na+, K+, Cl-, phosphate, sulfate, etc. either by metabolic activities or by means like excess ingestion. So lot many of products are accumulated in our body like ammonia, urea, uric acid, carbon dioxide, water, some inorganic ions, right? But how are these substances produced? Either they are produced by certain metabolic activities or they may enter our body through ingestion. These substances have to be removed partially or totally. So in this chapter we will learn the mechanism of the elimination of these substances with special emphasis on the nitrogenous waste. So in this particular chapter we will study how these waste material are eliminated from our body, and main point which we will be studying in this chapter is the elimination of the nitrogenous waste. So which are the nitrogenous waste? Ammonia, urea and uric acids are the major forms of the nitrogenous waste excreted by the animals. Ammonia is the most toxic form and requires large amount of water for its elimination, whereas uric acid, being less toxic, can be removed with the minimum loss of water. So there are basically three forms of the nitrogenous waste: ammonia, urea and uric acid. Of these three, the most toxic one is ammonia, and as it is highly toxic, it requires large amount of water to be eliminated. Whereas the uric acid is the least toxic of all these three and it requires very less amount of the water to be eliminated outside the body. So the nitrogenous waste material. So these are the principal excretory products. They are mainly formed as the end products of protein metabolism. How are they formed? Basically protein metabolism के जो end products होते हैं, they are the nitrogenous waste. Some amount of the nitrogenous waste is also produced by the metabolism of the nucleic acids. So we can say nitrogenous wastes are produced in two ways. One is deamination of excess or unwanted amino acids present in the food taken, which is the exogenous source, and another one is the breakdown of body's own protein and nucleic acid, which is the endogenous source. So how are these nitrogenous waste produced? Nitrogenous waste are produced mainly by the metabolism of protein. Some amount of the nitrogenous waste is also produced by the metabolism of the nucleic acids. So there are two ways in which this nitrogenous wastes are produced. One is the deamination, D, that is removal, amination, amino group. So removal of the amino group. किसका amino group remove करना है? Amino acids से. So those amino acids which are in excess amount in the food present, then it is called as the endogenous source. And then it may be also produced by the breakdown of body's own protein. Body के खुद के जो proteins है and nucleic acid है, वो जब break हो गए तो ये nitrogenous waste produce हो सकते हैं. So that is called as the endogenous source. Now the principal nitrogenous waste products varies in different animals. Now which waste product will be produced by different organism? It is different. It depends on the evolutionary history and their habitat. Which kind of nitrogenous waste will be produced by the organism depends on the evolutionary history and the habitat of that particular organism. There are three main nitrogenous containing waste material excreted by animals: ammonia, urea and uric acid. Ammonia is the most toxic, followed by urea, and uric acid is the least toxic. Now I told you that there is the deamination of the amino acids. So क्यों ये जो waste material है वो nitrogenous waste ही होते हैं and क्यों सिर्फ basically amino acids या nucleic acids ही use होते हैं. So why there is a need to deaminate the amino acids? Body can store carbohydrates and fats for future use but cannot store proteins or amino acid. Our body has the mechanism or living organisms have the mechanism कि जिससे वो प्रोटीन्स और कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स एंड फैट्स को स्टोर कर सकते हैं. बट द लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स डू नॉट हैव द mechanism कि जहाँ पे वो एक्सेस प्रोटीन्स या एक्सेस अमाइनो एसिड्स को वो स्टोर कर सकते हैं. सो व्हाट हैपन्स टू दैट एक्सेस प्रोटीन्स और अमाइनो एसिड्स? Therefore, the amino acids which the body cannot use immediately are deaminated. So, those amino acids which the body cannot use immediately, they are deaminated. That is, their amino group is removed. अभी amino acid का structure हमें मालूम है. What is the structure of amino acid? It consists of the COH group, it consists of the NH2 group, it consists of the R group and it consists of H. अभी ये अमाइनो ग्रुप निकल जाएगा तो अभी क्या बचा? नाउ वी हैव अ मॉलिक्यूल ऑफ ओनली ऑर्गेनिक एसिड लेफ्ट. सो द रिमेनिंग ऑर्गेनिक एसिड में बी यूज्ड एज अ एनर्जी सोर्स. सो डीएमिनेशन से जो ऑर्गेनिक एसिड बचा that may be used as a source of energy or it may be changed to carbohydrate or fat and later it will be stored. So that is why the body deaminates the amino acids. Now I told you there are three nitrogenous waste produced: ammonia, urea and uric acid. So first of all, let us study regarding the ammonotelism. So the process of excreting ammonia is called as ammonotelism. So जो process से ammonia remove होता है और you can say elimination of the ammonia as the nitrogenous waste, it is called as the ammonotelism. And those organisms which remove ammonia as the nitrogenous waste, those organisms are called as the ammonotelic organisms. What are the organisms called as? They are called as the ammonotelic organisms. So many bony fishes, aquatic amphibians and aquatic insects are ammonotelic in nature. So those organisms which excrete ammonia as the nitrogenous waste are called as the ammonotelic organisms. What are their examples? The bony fishes, the aquatic amphibians and the aquatic insects. Ammonia, as it is readily soluble in water, is generally excreted by diffusion across the body surface or through the gill surface in fish as the ammonium ions. So how this ammonia is eliminated? First of all, this ammonia is readily soluble in water. So it is basically removed through diffusion. Diffusion means when certain substances move from the region of the higher concentration to lower concentration. So body में ammonia का concentration ज़्यादा है compared to the exterior. So ammonia from the interior of the body will be eliminated to the exterior, right? How this ammonia will be removed? Either through the body surface और अगर fish है तो fish में through the gill surface they will be removed in the form of the ammonium ions. Ammonia is very soluble in water and is highly toxic except in the dilute solution. अभी जो भी अमोनिया बनता है वो हाईली टॉक्सिक है एक्सेप्ट इन द डाइल्यूट सॉल्यूशन. सो उसको रिमूव करने के लिए इट नीड्स टू बी फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल डाइल्यूटेड एंड हेंस इट रिक्वायर्स लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ वाटर टू बी एलिमिनेटेड. As body requires a considerable amount of water in dissolving and removing ammonia from it, it is therefore the primary nitrogenous waste in aquatic organism. Ammonia, it acts as a nitrogenous waste mainly in the aquatic organisms because it requires large amount of water for dissolving as well as removing it. Kidneys do not play any significant role in its removal. There is no role of the kidneys to excrete the ammonia. Terrestrial adaptation necessitated the production of lesser toxic nitrogenous waste like urea and uric acid for conservation of water. Now, elimination of the ammonia requires large amount of water. So, for the terrestrial adaptation or for the land animals there is a particular adaptation needed कि जहाँ पे less toxic nitrogenous waste बने so that the water can be conserved, and therefore there are two other nitrogenous waste like urea and uric acid. So first of all, the second nitrogenous waste produced is the urea. So elimination of urea as the nitrogenous waste material is termed as ureotelism. So what is ureotelism? Elimination of urea as the nitrogenous waste, that process is called ureotelism. Mammals, many terrestrial amphibians and marine fishes mainly excrete urea and are called ureotelic animals. So those organisms which excrete urea as the nitrogenous waste are called as the ureotelic organisms or animals. So who excrete urea? It is mammals, it is terrestrial amphibians and it is the marine fishes. Now कोई भी वेस्ट मटेरियल हो, यूरिया हो, यूरिक एसिड हो, कुछ भी हो, पहला जो नाइट्रोजनस वेस्ट बनेगा वो ऑलवेज अमोनिया ही होगा. अमोनिया यूरिया में कन्वर्ट होगा एंड अमोनिया ही यूरिक एसिड में कन्वर्ट होगा. सो फर्स्ट नाइट्रोजनस वेस्ट प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय एनी ऑर्गेनिज्म इज अमोनिया. So ammonia produced by metabolism is converted into the urea in the liver of these animals and then released into the blood, which is filtered and excreted out by kidneys. So ammonia reacts with carbon dioxide in the liver where urea is formed. So urea का formation कहाँ पे होता है? Liver में. Now through the bloodstream, this urea which is produced in liver is transported to the kidney के जहाँ पे ये blood filter होगा, यानी blood में से urea निकलेगा and it will be excreted from the body by the kidneys. Two molecules of ammonia combines with carbon dioxide to form urea and water. Some amount of the urea may be retained in the matrix of the kidney of some of these animals to maintain the desired osmolarity. It is said कि पूरा यूरिया रिमूव नहीं होता. Very less amount में urea will be present in the matrix portion of the kidney, interstitial fluid of the kidney, so that the concentration of the fluid can be maintained. Urea can be excreted in the concentrated form, and as it can be excreted in the concentrated form, it does not require large amount of water for it to be eliminated. The next one is uricotelism. Elimination of uric acid as the main nitrogenous waste is called uricotelism. So what is uricotelism? The elimination of uric acid. Uric acid is most insoluble and can be eliminated from the body in the nearly solid state. Okay, so uric acid is least soluble in water and can be eliminated from the body in the solid form. Reptiles, birds, land snails and insects, they excrete nitrogenous waste as uric acids in the form of pellet or paste with a minimum loss of water and are called as uricotelic animals. So those organisms which remove uric acid as a nitrogenous waste are called as uricotelic animals or uricotelic organism, and uric acid basically is removed in the form of the pellet or paste along with the fecal material. Basically ये feces के साथ remove हो जाएगा. Okay, so that is regarding the uricotelism. So see students, the nitrogenous waste प्रोटीन्स में का डाइजेशन होकर अमाइनो एसिड्स होगा, अमाइनो एसिड्स का डीएमिनेशन होगा, न्यूक्लिक एसिड के एंड प्रोडक्ट में क्या बनेगा? नाइट्रोजिनस बेसिस. कैसे नाइट्रोजिनस बेसिस? न्यूक्लिक एसिड्स आर पॉलीन्यूक्लियोटाइड्स. सो मैनी न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स जॉइन एंड फॉर्म द न्यूक्लिक एसिड्स. नाउ न्यूक्लियोटाइड किसका बना है? पेंटोज शुगर, दैट इज राइबोज और डीऑक्सीराइबोज. इट हैव द नाइट्रोजिनस बेस एंड इट हैव फॉस्फेट. फॉस्फेट एंड पेंटोज शुगर विल बी यूज्ड फॉर द फर्दर यूज. ये जो एक्स्ट्रा नाइट्रोजिनस बेसिस है उसमें से क्या रिमूव हो जाएगा? अमाइनो ग्रुप. Now what it will form? Either ammonia, urea or the uric acid, and these are the examples of the organisms producing such kinds of the wastes. So these are the animals, these are the nitrogenous waste in the different groups of the animals: ammonia, urea and the uric acid. Now evolution of the excretory organs in the various animal groups. A survey of animal kingdom presents a variety of excretory structures. In most of the invertebrates, these structures are simple tubular forms, whereas vertebrates have a complex tubular organs called kidneys. Protonephridia are basically the tubular structures or the flame cells. They are the excretory structures in platyhelminths like flatworms, example planaria, in certain rotifers, annelids and cephalochordates like Amphioxus. Protonephridia is primarily concerned with ionic and fluid volume regulation. That is, what is its function? To maintain the concentration of the body fluid. Salt and water का balance करता है water fluid in the body fluids, and that mechanism is called as osmoregulation. Nephridia are the tubular excretory structures of earthworms and other annelids. They help to remove the nitrogenous waste and maintain the fluid and ionic balance. That is, they are also concerned with osmoregulation. Malpighian tubules are the excretory structure in most of the insects including cockroaches. They help in removal of nitrogenous waste as well as osmoregulation. So basically जो भी excretory organs है वो excretory waste को तो remove करेंगे ही करेंगे, but another important function carried by the excretory organ is osmoregulation, that is maintenance of the salt and water balance of the body fluids. Antennal glands or green glands perform the excretory function in crustaceans like prawns. So now let us begin with the human excretory system. In humans, the excretory system consists of pair of kidneys, pair of ureters, urinary bladder and the urethra. So see students, here you can see these are the pair of kidneys. From the kidney arises a tubular structure called as ureter. This ureter empties the urine into the bladder. Now this bladder at the end will have the urethra, जिसके opening को बोलते हैं urethral opening, and through this urethral opening the urine will be removed outside. See, this is the diagram mentioned in your book. This is the kidney. Kidney के ऊपर adrenal gland होती है. Kidney से बाहर जो vein निकलती है वो renal vein. Okay. Now this is the ureters. These are the urinary bladder and this is the urethra. Now first of all, let us study in detail regarding the kidneys. So kidneys are the primary excretory organ because they are concerned with the formation of the urine as well as its elimination. So kidneys are reddish brown bean shaped structures. Its location, it is situated between the levels of the last thoracic and third lumbar vertebra, that is first three lumbar vertebra and last thoracic vertebra का जो पोजीशन है उसके अपोजिट साइड में, वन ऑन द आइदर साइड, क्लोज टू द डोर्सल इनर वॉल ऑफ द एब्डोमिनल कैविटी बिलो द डायफ्राम. द टू पेयर्स ऑफ द रिब्स प्रोटेक्ट देम. साइज, each kidney is of basically 10 to 12 centimeter in length, 5 to 7 centimeter width and 2 to 3 centimeter in thickness. The weight, average weight is 120 to 170 gram. It is said that adult में 120 to 170 ग्राम है और adult female में it is 120 to 135 grams. Both the kidneys are not situated on the same plane. The right kidney is slightly on the lower plane than the left because the liver is situated above it on the right side. External surface of the kidney is convex, internal surface is concave. Now let us study regarding the internal structure of the kidneys. A kidney is composed of numerous microscopic coiled tubules called nephrons or uriniferous tubules. So kidneys के जो structural and functional unit है वो कौन है? Nephrons. And these nephrons are microscopic coiled tubules. Nephrons are held together by a connective tissues. How are nephrons connected? By the help of the connective tissue. And all of them are enveloped by a firm capsule of the white fibrous tissue. So a layer of white fibrous tissue covers the nephron. Now outside the capsule is the layer of fat. So white fibrous tissue की जो capsule है उसके surrounding कौन सा layer है? Fat layer. This fat layer is called as the adipose capsule. And this adipose capsule is followed by a fibrous membrane which is called as renal fascia. So अंदर की तरफ white fibrous capsule, exterior to white fibrous capsule is adipose capsule and exterior to the adipose capsule is the renal fascia. So this fibrous capsule, adipose capsule and renal fascia, they form the protective coats of the kidneys. The nephrons are much coiled in the outer region of the kidney and run almost straight in the inner region. So nephrons का जो arrangement है in the outer portion of the kidneys, they are basically in the coiled manner, whereas in the inner region of the kidney they are arranged in the straight manner. And due to such arrangement, these two regions therefore appears dotted, that is outer region appears dotted, and straighted, that is the inner region appears to be straighted. Inner region कैसा दिखता है? Straighted. And outer region कैसा दिखता है? Dotted in the longitudinal section of the kidneys. Now, the outer region is called renal cortex and the inner region is termed as the renal medulla. So, outer portion of the kidney is called as what? Renal cortex, and inner portion is called as the renal medulla. Now, the medulla is further subdivided into 15 to 16 conical masses which are called as the renal pyramids. Now, cortex में renal pyramids होते हैं. What does the cortex contains? The cortex consists of 15 to 16 renal pyramids. Now, ये renal pyramids का जो ये broad part है, broad base है, ये cortex को face करता है, and उसका जो narrow end है, this narrow end is called as the renal papilla. And this renal papilla, it faces the pelvic portion or pelvis portion of the kidneys. Each renal papilla projects into the cavity of a minor calyx. Now, renal papilla कहाँ पे open होता है? एक cavity में. What is that cavity called as? Minor calyx. Now, minor calyx, it joins and form 2 to 3 major calyces. अभी minor calyx join होकर क्या बनाते हैं? 2 to 3 major calyces. The major calyces in turn open into a wide funnel-like structure called as the pelvis. Major calyces कहाँ पे open होते हैं? Pelvis में. And pelvis कहाँ पे open होता है? Ureters. Now, between pyramids, the cortex extends into the medulla as the renal columns of the Bertini. Okay, so that is regarding the structure of the kidneys. Now, what is mentioned in your textbook? We will see that. Towards the center of the inner concave surface of the kidney is a notch called as the hilum, through which the ureter, blood vessels and nerve enter. Suppose ऐसी structure है किडनी का, इट इज़ अ बीन शेप स्ट्रक्चर, राइट. सो ये वाले पोर्शन पे ओपनिंग है, ये पोर्शन को बोलते हैं हाइलम, कि जहाँ पे क्या एंटर होता है? द ब्लड वेसल्स, यूरेटर्स एंड नर्व्स. Inner to the hilum is a broad funnel-shaped structure called renal pelvis with the projections called calyces. The outer layer of the kidney is a tough capsule. Inside the kidney, there are two zones, outer cortex and inner medulla. The medulla is divided into few conical masses which are called medullary pyramids, which project into calyces. The singular form is calyx. The cortex extends in between the medullary pyramids as the renal columns of the Bertini. See students, here you can see the diagram. ये जो portion है, this portion is the hilum, कि जहाँ पे renal artery अंदर जाती है, renal vein बाहर आती है, and वहाँ से ureter बाहर आता है. Now this black portion is the capsule, the dotted portion is the cortex. Now the medulla portion is divided into the 15 to 16 conical masses, जिसको बोलते हैं pyramids. अभी ये pyramids का broad portion है, cortex को face करता है, उसको बोलते हैं renal papilla. Sorry, it is basically this is a broad portion and this is the narrow portion कि जो मेड्यूला को फेस करता है, पेल्विस को फेस करता है, इसको बोलते हैं रीनल पेपिला. नाउ रीनल पेपिला कहाँ पे ओपन होता है? एक एक कैविटी में. व्हाट इज दिस कैविटी कॉल्ड एज? इट इज कॉल्ड एज द माइनर कैलिक्स. व्हाट इज द कैविटी कॉल्ड एज? इट इज कॉल्ड एज द माइनर कैलिक्स. नाउ ये जो माइनर कैलिक्स है वो जॉइन होती है and it forms nearly 2 to 3 major calyx. Okay, so these bigger cavities are called major calyx and major calyx कहाँ पे open होती है? funnel shaped structure, that is into pelvis, and pelvis continues as what? It is called as the ureter. Now this is the cortex portion, this is the medulla. So cortex, it extends between the medulla, and this portion is called as the renal columns of Bertini. So this is the longitudinal section of the kidney. I end my two lectures here. In the next lecture, we will be studying regarding the structure of the nephron, how the blood is supplied to the kidneys, and which are the different types of the nephrons. Thank you, students.